Da, 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 da. What is going on, everybody? How are you doing? We are live, boys. Where are we live? We are live. Oh, there we go. It is working. We are live on Twitch and Mixer. And today we are going to be researching the fight between Austin Lingo and Youssef Zalal, which should be cool because I don't know anything about these boys. I have never watched them fight before. And there's a ton of footage of it. Well, actually, that's not strictly true. There's not a ton of footage available on Austin Lingo, but there is some footage. There's a decent amount of footage on both guys, which we can watch together to try and get a decent read on how this fight might play out. So, if you're watching, after the fact on YouTube, when this video gets uploaded to YouTube later on, thanks for watching, and hit the like button below if you like this video. If not, please don't hit the like button because that will screw things up for me. If you just focus on hitting the like button, that would be great. And if you don't like it, just go watch someone else. It's all good, no hard feelings. And also, leave a comment and let me know what you think of this fight, right? Let me know if you're betting this fight. Let me know how you feel about it, okay? So, if you're watching on Twitch and Mixer, don't forget to drop a comment in the live chat throughout the video, throughout the live stream, if you want to talk about anything. And also, boys, I do want to share something pretty cool with you. Actually, it's not cool. It's one of those things where it's kind of like, it's something I like to keep up to date with, but it's not really something that is very nice, I suppose. But just want to share this Twitter account with you here, boys. This dude here, he hasn't got that many followers, so I'm not sure how many people know about this guy. But his name is Harry Chen, PhD. And if you're following like the whole coronavirus thing that's going on around the world in China at the moment, which is really, really sad. But I recommend that you check out this guy's Twitter page because he's sharing some heat at the moment, man. He's showing some pretty crazy videos that I recommend checking out if you're into all this kind of thing. If you're a little bit worried about the people over in China and everywhere else in the world, really. Do you know what I mean? If you're a little bit worried about this corona thing. Sorry about the stream starting a little bit late. I've been having a good chat with probably Cicero, who I do love talking to, man. I can't wait to carry on this conversation when we wrap this live stream up. So hopefully Cicero's still kicking about. But yeah, boys, nice one to everyone that is just showing up in Twitch. And Spiz MMA is saying that he thinks Lingo might be the best bet on the card right now. That's good news, man. And I can't wait to get into this fight because obviously so far the only bet I've got on this card is Morono. Now Morono's odds have got completely murdered since we did the live stream the other day. When he was up at about 1.38 to 1.40. And do you know what's crazy? I know that like people roll their eyes at chalky bets like Morono, but at the end of the day, the way I always look at these situations is when we researched that fight the other day, his odds were like 1.38 to 1.40. You're getting like a 40% return on your money if he wins, which he might not, but if he wins, 40% return on your money for very minimal risk. And you know what? It was crazy. I was live streaming my research on my website to my members the other day for the fight between Dominic Reyes and John Jones. And the crazy thing was, after I finished researching the fight, I didn't want to bet Reyes. I definitely leaned heavily towards John. But when I really thought about it, I actually feel a hell of a lot more confident in Alex Morono winning this weekend than I do John Jones. Which is kind of crazy, really, because even now, even after Morono's odds have got completely steamed since we put that video out, why isn't the chat loading? If we refresh the page, will that fix things? Will it fix things? Okay. We're getting a little bit of lag here, boys, and I'm not sure why. Shouldn't be getting any lag. Okay, here we go. Alright, so if you look at the odds on Morono, they've got absolutely steamed since we put the video out on Monday. Been gradually declining. But yeah, if I was saying to my members that were watching my live stream on the fight between Reyes and John Jones, if right now you said you could bet John Jones at 1.38 or you could bet Alex Morono at 1.38, who would you prefer to bet at those odds? I would prefer to bet Morono at 1.38. I think he's a much better bet than John Jones this weekend. I think there's much less risk with betting on Morono because Dominic Reyes is no joke, right? So, yeah, man. I mean, I know it's a chalky bet. His odds have got absolutely steamed, but even at these odds, I still kind of see a little bit of value there. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, so it's crazy, man. At 1.38, even though, people will roll their eyes, it's chalky. At the end of the day, money is money, man. Money pays the bills. 40% return on my money for minimal risk. If he wins, I will take that all day. And yeah, I think Morono should have been a bigger favourite than John Jones this weekend. So even at these odds, still a little bit crazy to me. So boys, anyway, good to see you, Master by Jazz. Hope you're okay, dude. Master by Jazz has let us know he's dipping in and out. And Master by Jazz, I know Master by Jazz, he's one of my VIPs, man. He does a lot of research himself. So let me know, Master by Jazz, if you've researched this fight, dude, and let me know what you think. I know you usually post your thoughts in the forums on the website. So yeah, let me know what you think, man. And hey, Boogie, how are you doing, dude? Kamikaze82 is saying, I've heard Lingo's ground game might not be the best. Alright, let's get into it. Just to let you guys know what's coming up this week as well. Big boy thank you to everyone that hit the like button on the UFC 247 breakdown video I put out yesterday. That's almost to 300 likes already. So Saturday, we are going to be live streaming on Twitch, Mixer and YouTube. We're going to do the prop bet video where we go through every single one of these fights taking place this weekend to try and find a decent prop for every fight. It's one of those live streams where we have a load of fun, we chop it up, we talk some shit, we talk about all the fights, try and find some decent bets on every single fight, try and find some juicy parlays as well to make watching the fights a little bit more interesting. So we'll be doing that on Saturday. Also, tomorrow night on Twitch and Mixer, I will be live streaming my research for the fight between Domingo Pilate and Journey Newson. And already watched a little bit of footage on both guys at the moment. And Newson's looking like a potential bet to me. So tune in for that tomorrow. And of course, that will be uploaded after the fact to YouTube. But if you want to watch it live with me on Twitch and Mixer, and you're watching this on YouTube, check the description below to find links to my Mixer and Twitch channels. And also, if you're a member on my website, I know many of you guys watching this will already be members of my website. After we get done on this live stream between Lingo and Zalal, I am going to head on over to my website to the live stream section, which you can find here. You already know where to find it if you're one of my members. So after this, I'm going to be heading on over to there to wrap up some of these final fights we've got to get through. Tonight I'm going to be focusing on Derek Lewis against Ilir Latifi and also Andrea Lee against Lauren Murphy. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, it's all coming, man. And if you're one of my members, I'll see you on the website after this. I'll remind you at the end, but this is just for anyone watching this on YouTube. You might be able to head on over to the site now and catch me doing another live stream on one of those two fights. So now, boys, let us get into the research for this fight. And I have heard a few people, man, that know what they're talking about this week tell me that Austin Lingo could be a very good bet. Obviously, Spizma has said he's looking like the best bet on the card right now. Hiltz as well, one of my elite members, Hiltz, has said that he thinks Austin Lingo's a really solid bet as well. So I'm very interested to dive into this one, although there isn't that much footage available on Austin Lingo. What is really annoying is that I would really like to find this fight between Lingo and Phil Gonzalez, and I do have LFA 40 on a hard drive from like my basically like the fights that I save up to study tape on. What's annoying is that Lingo competed on the prelims, so this fight here between him and Gonzalez isn't actually on the LFA 40 video file that I've got, which is super annoying. So all the other fights we've got to watch on him ended in round 1, apart from this fight from back in 2017, which was his pro debut. So he's probably improved a hell of a lot since then, because, you know, he's only a young guy. This fight took place a long time ago. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is, if we do go back and watch this fight, and this version that we see in this fight of Austin Lingo is good enough to beat the version of Youssef Zalal we can see in his recent fights from 2019, then we know Lingo's absolutely going to be a good bet, because he's likely to have improved a hell of a lot since 2017. So based on these fights, it's unlikely we're going to be able to bet Lingo, because this one's not available and these ones all ended very quickly. But based on this fight, we might. But if you can find the fight online between Gonzalez and Lingo, please give me a shout, boys, and let me know. If you're watching on Twitch and Mixer, please drop them in the live chat. But yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere, which is really annoying. I spent quite a bit of time today looking for this one. So let's get into, let me just give my glasses a little clean. Let's get into watching research for this one. So first of all, I want to give a big shout out to one of my VIP members, Roland Dito. That is what I love, man, about my my members, man. We're almost building a bit of a squad where you guys helped me out a hell of a lot. And Roland Dito DM'd me with this interview yesterday and said, look, I don't like the kind of stuff Zalal is saying in this interview. I think you should check it out. So it's cool. I haven't watched this interview yet. We'll watch it with you guys to see what he's saying. But apparently Zalal gives us some red flags here. Now, I did try and find some recent interviews with Austin Lingo. Couldn't find anyone. So in terms of X factors and watching interviews together, this might be all we've got to work with. There is a 20-minute interview with Zalal available on YouTube with Mike Heck from bjpen.com, which I haven't watched. But I might, if I'm interested in betting this fight, I might go and watch it after. But I think this video here is kind of like a highlight reel from that interview. So anyway, let's see what Zalal is saying here, and see what red flags Roland Dito was talking about.
In the living room where I'm sitting right now, I got a call from my manager saying, "Hey man, well, we got it," and I'm like, I thought he was just like playing with me, and me and my wife thought the same thing. So we were like, what? No way, shut up, no way. And then because I know they were planning on like they put my name for a short notice, but I didn't know it was gonna be like around the corner like that. So it was pretty awesome, man, to see that, and it made me and my wife, it made our day. If you look at my career, that's all I done, most of it is all I done. I have a 2-hour notice. I have I fought 2 weeks before that 2-hour notice, you know what I mean? And a month later, I fought again. 2 months later, I fought again. So I'm so used to it, man. I really don't matter to me. That was my LFA debut, too. My teammate passed out in the sauna and hit his head. Yeah, so our coach was like, no way in hell he's fighting. And then his manager, he was my manager back then. He was like, he looked at me, and I just fought 2 weeks ago. I literally just got back to the gym the week before that. So, and I'm like, oh, this and that. And he was like, hey, do you want to fight? And I was like, sure. What weight? He's like, oh, we're doing it at 155. So we drove to the gym and cut weigh-in to go straight to the weigh-ins. Well, it's supposed to be 5 pounds, but I dropped like 8 pounds. It's going to be an exciting fight. I cornered against him. I think he's like third pro fight, fourth pro fight. I can't remember. It was against Phil Gonzalez, which is the only 2 decisions he ever had. One with Phil and one with I can't remember his other guy's name. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a very, very exciting fight. He brings the heat, and then I bring the knowledge. So we'll see how that goes. I came here 11 years ago, not really having anything, to be honest. I have great people around me, and yeah, the great support around me. And I always wanted this, and I did everything that I could in my power to get in here, and me training every day, me waking up, me focusing on my diet, recovery, and all that. So I can't, just follow the process, and the opportunities will come to you. It's a lot different than here, I'll tell you that. Yeah, man, there's not a whole lot of opportunities down there, man. It really isn't. It's like there's great people, and obviously, but there's a lot of bad people. You hang out with the wrong road very quick. So I'm blessed, and I'm very grateful. My mom and my dad really did what they did for me. So I can't really thank them enough. Nonstop, man. These guys are always watching, and they follow me at the Moroccan Jam. Very thankful to all.
All right, cool. So I didn't see too many red flags there, apart from Obviously, Zalal telling us he's taking the fight on short notice, but we know that because this fight was only announced in the last week, right? Which is obviously going to be a red flag for both guys. I couldn't see too many red flags there, though, man, if I'm being completely honest with you. Let's go through the chat. So, hey Zips, what's up, man? Zips has been helping me out loads, boys. He's been dropping mega knowledge on price movements on Bitcoin at the moment, man. So, shout out to you, Zips, dude. Thanks a lot, mate. And Spisma is saying Lingo is hard hitting for 145. Zalal is more of a 135er and has fought 140-pound catch weights. Lingo had a fight scheduled early March, so was in camp. That is a great bit of knowledge there. Thank you for dropping that knowledge, Spisma. So that's an interesting one. So looks like Lingo is probably already training for a fight, even if he's not in fight shape. He probably still has at least a month of training under his belt, whereas Zalal might have just rolled out of bed. You know what I mean? You don't know what he's been doing if he hasn't had a fight booked. Tasmanian 187 saying, did he win any of the short notice fights? Yeah, I'm guessing he did, man. I'm guessing he did. He's got, decent record, 7-2. We'll see what he looks like when he gets into this footage. Oh God. Let's just take a look here and just do that. There you go. Okay. Alright, and then so let's look at these weight class situations. So Spisma has dropped some really good knowledge about the weight classes that Zalal's been fighting in. So he said he's actually a 135er. So okay, that's a 140-pound catch weight. That is 145 pounds. This fight against Lingo is at 145, right? That's 145. That's 145. That's 145. That's 145. So it does look like Zalal is a 145 pounder. And what about Lingo, who's a bit smaller, right? So yeah, 150, 145, 145, 145. Was that a catch weight because Lingo missed weight? Don't think so. Don't think it was. Well, he's had a couple catch weights though. Maybe he is. Maybe he's a big boy, right? He's not that big for featherweight. 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. Youssef is 5'10" with a 75-inch reach. So Youssef will have a 5-inch reach advantage. Although I would take that with a pinch of salt because the stats on Tapology are quite often wrong, especially on guys from the regional circuit. So yeah, I wouldn't read too much into that. Definitely wouldn't read too much into that, man. All right. What? I just got another comment. So Lidos saying this UFC 247 card looks dead for betting, in my opinion. Don't want to overthink or force bet, just for action. Next week, fight night cards looks a lot better for finding value. Yeah, you could be right, man. You could be right. Although, I am kind of in love with a bet on Morono at 1.38. I think we had a fucking steal there. It was so weird, man. Like when you go into researching fights, you always kind of have an idea usually if you'll be betting it or not. And like going into that fight, you guys probably sensed the vibe when you were watching the live stream. I was like, I can't see me betting Morono at these odds. Then when you actually see Kalen Williams, you're like, fuck me. Like, this guy should not be in the UFC, right? It's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's hopefully going to be an easy winner on Morono this weekend. Fucking due a nice stress-free winner, I know that much. But yeah, next week card definitely looks a lot better, dude. You're right. Hopefully we can find someone on this Lingo Zalal fight. Don't know anything about these two boys, so we live in hope, man. We live in hope. Right. In terms of X factors, they both train at different gyms, which are quite good. So we've got Austin Lingo trains at Fortis MMA, which is obviously one of the better MMA gyms out there. Here we can see him with Miles Johns, and then is he doing all his training there? This is Stephen Peterson, Jeff Neal. There's a few UFC guys in there. Yeah, all his training picks look to be at Fortis MMA. Oh, this was from a very long time ago. And then Zalal also trains at a decent gym. He's training at Factory X. Here he is with Mark Montoya. Yeah, there he is with Montoya again. So obviously Factory X, Fortis MMA, two decent gyms. Factory X and Fortis MMA have got a big presence on this card as well, right? Lots of Factory X and Fortis MMA guys. I can understand Fortis MMA having a big presence on this card because they're based in Texas and this card takes place in Texas. But I don't get the whole Factory X thing on this card because Factory X is based in Denver, which is nowhere near Texas, as far as I know. It's kind of crazy. And Kamikaze saying, I couldn't believe how bad Williams looked, Gemma, and it caught me off guard for sure. For sure, man. I wasn't expecting to be betting Morono as a big favourite, but you never know what you're going to get. Who knows, boys? Who knows, man? We're going to be live streaming research all night. After this, we're going to do that Lewis Latifi fight and also the Andrea Lee. Is she still called Lauren Murphy? She got married and changed her name, right? Is it still Lauren Murphy? It is still Lauren Murphy. But yeah, we're going to be doing that. Who knows, man? We might dig up something. You never know. You never know. All right, that's X Factors out the way. Now let's get to watching some footage. The first fight we'll watch is Lingo against Hatley. And this fight ending in 25 seconds is from August this year. Let's see what happens. Hey Solar, we honestly, man, we literally just started watching the footage, mate. You barely missed anything, mate. You barely missed anything, dude. Good to see you, Solar, mate. Hope you're having a good day, man. Alright, so that doesn't tell us too much other than the fact that Lingo came out super aggressive there, right? Very, very aggressive. There's no feeling out process there. Didn't take any time to find his range. Just steamed in and went for the kill. Right, this next fight. This fight is available online, but it would have been hard work bringing it up. It was on like a Youku site, so I didn't bother. Because the Youku sites can be a bit glitchy and it only lasts 25 seconds, so we'll skip that one. Let's watch this against Aaron Webb. Another fast finish from Lingo. This one's in 13 seconds. Very, very nice footwork there from Lingo to circle away. Oh my god. Jesus. I was just saying, very nice footwork there from Lingo to, what is this gentleman's name? To circle away from Webb. Webb was coming forward, right? As Webb's coming forward, going for the kill, he just stays disciplined, circled away, fires back there with the, oh my god, fucking hell. Lingo's got some boxing, right? Lingo got some boxing. Lingo's got the boxing. Oh, nice one, Solar, dude. Let us know what you're cooking, mate. Oh, good one, Cyfix. Cyfix, mate. Hopefully work's going good for you, man. Hopefully having a good day in work. We'll be getting on to the we'll be going and researching some other fights on the site later on, dude. We're gonna do Andrea Lee against Lauren Murphy and Derek Lewis Latifi after this. See if we find anything. Although I don't think we will. Those fights seem, like Lee Dosit said earlier on, man, those two fights seem pretty fucking dead for betting, but we gotta do them, right? You never know. I would have just passed on Morono Williams. I wouldn't even have bothered researching it. And as it turns out, Morono seems like a great value bet at about 1.40. And now, let's watch his next fight. So this is Austin Lingo Omar Benjar from February 2018. This one lasts 2 minutes, a little bit longer. Bear in mind as well, this is Lingo's third pro fight here. So very inexperienced at this stage. This guy's got some boxing though, right? You could tell just by the way he moves. Very, very nice deep double leg takedown entry there from Benjar. And Lingo showing off strong hips. But Benjar's got the body lock here. Benjar in a strong position to get this takedown. Let's see what Lingo can get going here. So he's defending with the overhooks. That usually isn't the correct technique, but he's forced to do that because Benjar's got such tight control of the body on the body lock. There's no space for Lingo to get those underhooks in and dig in. A few minutes ago, he did try and get his left arm in for an underhook, but they want enough space. So Benjar completes this trip takedown, and that is a red flag straight away. Not that Lingo gave up the takedown. His takedown defense was actually looking pretty good, all things considering. But what is a red flag is how Lingo has gone to... I'll just rewind a little bit so you can see how he's just gone to the body triangle off the bottom here. There's just no point in doing that in MMA. The body triangle is just... It doesn't achieve anything in MMA where you're off your back. All it really does is tie your opponent up. You don't really have any submissions with it. It doesn't help you create any space to work back to your feet. So it's just a little bit of a sign of inexperience, I suppose. If ever you see a fighter get taken down and they go to the body triangle, it's usually either a lack of experience or just bad fight IQ in general. But this is, again though, right boys, this is Lingo's third pro MMA fight, man. You wouldn't expect him to be flawless. You know, you'd expect him to have weaknesses, right? It's fucking normal, man. Even John Jones has got weaknesses, right, this weekend. So can't be too harsh on Lingo, but that is just a little bit of a red flag for us to bear in mind. But he throws his hips up nicely there, catching Benjar in an armbar. Now, it doesn't look like he really has much here. No, he doesn't. Benjar manages to slip out, but very good use of the armbar to create enough space for himself to pop back up. Very, very nice from Mr. Lingo. And Benjar getting to work with that outside leg kick. Very nice footwork though from Lingo. Notice how similar to the last fight, as Benjar's coming forward, Lingo's doing a good job of just using the footwork to slip his shots. And this guy is got boxing, man. This guy's got boxing. He's for reals. He is for reals, man. Lingo's boxing looks amazing. Boys, I will say this. Whether we're betting this fight or not, I don't know if we're going to bet this fight yet. Obviously, we've still got more footage to watch. But I will say this. If you're looking for a good value DraftKings pick, I don't know how much this guy is in DraftKings, but he literally is the fucking dude for DraftKings, right? He is the dude for DraftKings. No doubt about it. Kamikaze saying Zalal has good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Oh, shout out Blades, man. Shout out to Blades. Blades is literally the only guy watching me on Mixer. So shout out to you, Blades. And Blades is just letting us know that he does like Youssef here. So let's not all fall in love with Lingo striking, because Blades likes Youssef. And he's saying he believes Youssef is going to out-grapple him. And Lingo's 8,900 on DraftKings is quite expensive, you know. That is, because if Blades is right and if Blades can grapple Lingo, then there's not going to be... I mean, it's a heavy price to pay on Lingo, right? 8,900. Not good. Not good. And Boogie's saying at least he stays active from his back. So this fight now, Austin Lingo, Josh Foster, is another one that ends in 35 seconds. Jesus Christ. Okay, what happens here? I'm guessing he lands another dash shot, right? So, Lingo's got taken down here, but immediately gets to work off his back to try and create space to pop back up. Didn't get anything going there, but here he is trying to push off the hips, create a little bit of space for himself. I like how he's not, in this fight, accepting being on the bottom. He kind of accepted being on the bottom against Benjar. Here, he's much more active off his back, and now he's got that... Wow. Interesting. There was me saying that... well, I guess now we've got the answer to our question. Remember in the last fight where I said that when you see a fighter go to the body triangle from the bottom, they don't have anything? That's like true 99.99999% of the time in the UFC anyway, because people in the UFC are going to be at a level where you're just not going to catch them in a guillotine like that from the bottom with the body triangle. You very, very rarely see it. You know, even if you think of the guillotine specialists like Pedro Munoz or, you know, like a Gilbert Burns, you'd never see him go to the body triangle to complete the guillotine. This is just a case of Lingo fighting a low-level dude like Josh Foster. Didn't really know how to defend himself in that position. But I think the reason why we saw Lingo go to the body triangle in the other fight against Benjar was possibly because it worked out for him against Foster. So he thought, I'll try it again. But obviously, now the higher level of opponent you face as you get into the UFC, that kind of stuff's not going to work. So that's where, like, sometimes it's because I always say, right, it works in betting, where we always say good bets don't always win, bad bets don't always lose. So it's one of those things where, you know, a lot of the time you'll see people place bad bets and they won't realize it, because when the bet wins, they think they got it right, they think they've done great, they think they're amazing, but in actual fact they just got lucky. And you're kind of seeing that there with Lingo. It might actually have been worse for him actually winning this fight by that method of victory, because I hope that doesn't lead him to think that kind of technique's going to be effective moving forward. You know what I mean? It's kind of that thing where getting lucky might then breed bad decision making and force him to continue to make that mistake further on into his career, because we've seen him do it in the fight immediately after that against Benjar, and we were kind of saying, well, that's a red flag. But now I can see why he did it, because it worked out for him here. But generally speaking, remember, just because something works out doesn't always mean like it's the correct thing to do. So, Kamikaze likes liking Zalal. Right, so I don't feel like we know that much about Lingo at this stage, so let's watch his pro debut. I would pay a lot of money to watch this fight. I literally can't find it anywhere. I wish we had this. This is a fight I wish we had, this one here. I feel like without that one, it's going to be tough to make a good decision on this. But anyway, let's watch his pro debut against Charles Williams. Just bear in mind that this fight took place a long time ago. You know, over 2 years. He's only 25 now. Right, so back then he would have been very early 20s. So he's going to improve tons since then. But the reason why I want to watch this is I'm kind of thinking he may show in this fight that he's at a level to beat Zalal or not. Right, if not, we can't. It's going to be tough to bet it because we don't know how much he's improved since then. The point I'm trying to make is if we watch this fight and based on this fight we think he can beat Zalal, then he's going to be a good bet, because we've got Zalal's last couple of fights, right? So we know exactly what to expect from him. And Lingo's likely to improve so much since this fight that it's safe to assume that if this version of Lingo is good enough to beat this version of Zalal, then Lingo's going to be a good bet. Boogie, yeah, man, he does have a good coaching team behind him. He does. He trains at Fortis MMA. Oh, nice one. One cash is on Mixer as well. Nice one, dude. Alright, let's get this fight going. Austin Lingo against Charles Williams. Let's see what we get here. So, I'm hoping we see lots of grappling from Williams, although I don't think we will, because he's wearing ankle wraps, which is usually a sign that he's a striker, right? So Williams with those ankle wraps, probably a kickboxer, which is unfortunate, really, because it would have been great to see Lingo fight a strong wrestler in this matchup. But even back here, man, in his pro debut, Lingo's moving so well. Very nice footwork. He got caught with a little two-strike combination there, but he kind of bounces back, acknowledging his smiling, a sign that he got caught. But I think he's seen it coming, which was why he kind of instantly reacted to it. Kind of just a little bit frustrated to get caught. But I do definitely like Lingo's movement, man. His boxing's very, very good. I'm just hoping we see quite a bit of wrestling here, and I don't think we're going to, which is really unfortunate. Nightmare. Blades is saying that Lingo's only fought one person with a good record. He does move well though, man. Like, that is a beautiful outside leg kick. You know, he set it up well by feinting with the punches and then uncorking the outside leg kick. Look at that beautiful left hook counter as well. Boys, I am very impressed by Lingo's striking. I'm not going to lie. Like, considering this was 2.5 years ago, he's probably 22 years old. It was his pro debut. I am super interested in this dude. Like, if he does know how to defend himself on the feet, and if he can quickly work back up to his feet, then he's going to be a bit of a nightmare, you know. And he did look, you know what I mean, when he did get taken down, he did look like he was actively trying to immediately work his way back up. Oh, you haven't missed too much by Master by Jazz. Master by Jazz, you haven't missed too much, dude, other than Lingo's striking is very good. Very, very good. But there's not too much footage available on him, man. Yeah, I agree, Kamikaze, mate. Hopefully we do see a bit of that, dude. To me, it just looks like Williams is a kickboxer who understands his second best here, so he's just going to try and stay on the outside and focus on defending himself. So we're probably not going to get any answers to the grappling questions here, unfortunately. But I know we've seen Lingo get taken down twice, but his takedown defense didn't look terrible to me, in the sense that one fight we watched, he did show semi-decent hips to stuff the initial entry, which was quite deep. And also, you know, his opponent did have a really deep body lock. Like, there's no shame in getting taken down like that when your opponent's got a deep body lock in that position. So I wouldn't say Lingo's takedown defense is completely awful, but it's just a little bit inconclusive, right? We just don't have too much information on it. Master by Jazz is saying Zalal fights a bit like Burns. Is that Herbert Burns, right? Yeah, definitely. Kamikaze's saying that as soon as they get touched by Lingo, they get a little bit scared of his power. You can definitely see that with the way Williams is just trying to fight on the outside here, focus on defending himself. Master by Jazz saying Zalal fights a little bit like Herbert Burns from last week. You know, one useful thing about watching this fight, though, it might give us some insight into Lingo's cardio. Again, don't want to be too harsh on him because this is pro debut, but then if he can fight at a decent pace like this for 15 minutes, it's fair to assume that his cardio on Saturday isn't going to be any worse than this. But again, he is taking the fight on Saturday, at short notice, so it is a tricky one, right? Yeah, Kamikaze saying he's green but still had strong hips and good coaching will probably get good takedown defense. That's right, man. God, that first round felt like it was a long one. Let's go into the second now. Yeah, Master by Jazz is bringing up a really good point, where Master by Jazz is just basically saying there's top-notch coaching at Fortis MMA. And we have to think about, like, some of the guys that train at Fortis are very, very high-level strikers, but they've also been able to develop, really good takedown defense. Like, you look at Jeff Neal, he's improved his takedown defense dramatically in a short space of time. He's obviously an excellent striker. So, like, even though his takedown defense at this point is going to be inconclusive because we don't have the footage to be absolutely sure, he's in good hands, right? He's in good hands. And Kamikaze just asking how long Lingo's been at Fortis. I'll have a look on my other monitor while you guys are watching this fight. So his Instagram profile was only created in May 2018. which is almost 2 years ago now. But he was training at Fortis MMA back then, so he's been at Fortis MMA for at least 2 years, which is obviously a great sign. Very, very good sign, right? Alright. Boys, I think I am getting a little bit of the flu or something, man. It's getting pretty warm in here, you know. And what is interesting, obviously this fight is a bit dead. There's not too much point in, there's not too much point in reading too much into his striking here, because the fight took place such a long time ago that it's not going to be relevant anymore. But I just want to stop it there, because as you guys have noticed, some of you guys have noticed on the live chat, that now into this second round, Lingo is a lot more flat-footed, right? A little bit sloppier. He's slowing down now. And see where he throws this spinning technique. Notice how he wasn't really throwing those spinning techniques in any of the other footage we've watched of him, where he's been a lot fresher, lighter on his feet, sticking to his boxing. When you start to see guys throw spinning attacks, it's usually a sign of tiredness. Like they're just so tired, they're not really thinking straight, and then they just do something goofy. So Lingo does appear to be slowing down quite a bit here, but I don't want to be too harsh on him, just because, like I say, this fight was such a long time ago. I actually think it's a bit pointless watching this anymore. He's starting to slow down, but that doesn't mean he'll slow down this weekend, you know what I mean? Because ultimately, he, you know, he's going to have improved a lot in the last 2.5 years, right? Master by Jazz saying Fortis MMA is like having Chris Allsop in your corner. Bro, it would be my dream to corner a fighter. It would be absolutely amazing, man. It would be, oh dude, I would love it, mate. But yeah, one day, man. Do you know what, boys? It is like I always got goals, man. It is on my bucket list to like set up like a super gym in Wales close to where I live. Because like Wales has got a long history of combat sports, right? Joe Calzaghe, one of the best boxers ever, was from my hometown. Big history of combat sports. And we got guys out. Brett Johns is a beast. He came through for us in a big way last week when we bet him. Jack Shaw, plenty of other guys coming up. I would love to do it like a Dan Lambert and create like a big gym in Wales, in Cardiff. And obviously when you set up a gym, it's very hard to make money from it. It's not going to be profitable. But it would just be like a passion project of mine to create like a massive ATT type gym in Wales and just bankroll fighters' careers. That is what I would love to do, man. That is the dream. One day, man. That is what I'm going for. Lee Dose is saying, I hope you haven't got that coronavirus, bro. Bro, I am worried about it, mate. I am worried. Like, I don't know if you were here earlier on, Lee, but I was recommending everyone check this dude out. I started following him recently, you know. Where is he? This dude here. If you're interested in the coronavirus thing, man, this guy, Harry Chen, PhD, he is sharing some scary shit. So yeah, I definitely hope I haven't got it, man. because it is a dark world out there, man. I hope everyone okay. I hope everyone is okay. No one's gonna be getting hit with that coronavirus. It's brutal, man. Blades is saying Youssef has good cardio, not enough grappling film on Lingo, and not enough striking on Youssef. I believe Youssef has fought better opponents. Boogie's saying let's make a crowdfunding for it. Dude, I reckon we would need a lot of money to set up a gym, dude. Like, I'm talking probably millions, man. Probably millions. I need to get... Boys, this year, though, basically I've got a goal. I am not buying any stupid shit this year. I'm guilty of buying stupid shit. I'm not buying any stupid shit this year. I'm taking all the money I earn from gambling. It's tax-free money. Just like, it's very nice, tax-free money, yeah? I'm taking the money I earn from gambling, and I am literally taking that money and just trying to do shit with it. Like, look at it, like buying houses, creating other businesses. I want to set up a dog grooming business this year, just because there's like not many in my area. I want to do that kind of thing, man. And then that is how we will get to the fucking super gym one day. Like, the only other way it's going to happen is if betting sites stop being giant cunts and they stop shutting down betting accounts and the liquidity improves on live betting. If that happens, we are off to the races, boys, and I can get this dream of having a super gym going. But unless that changes, it's going to be hard work. Obviously, there is light at the end of the tunnel, though. I'm optimistic about the future of live betting because there's two massive things on the horizon which could help guys like me make a fuckload of money. The first positive thing on the horizon is obviously this UFC live betting app that they're working on. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but the UFC are basically developing a live betting service. And what they've said is live betting is such a moneymaker for... That was obviously a ridiculous thing to Google. But the live betting is such a huge money maker now for other sports. Obviously, it's massive in like football, cricket, tennis. But the UFC's live betting is very, very much behind other sports, right? There's no liquidity in it. Odds get suspended way too often. Not enough people are live betting to have the liquidity to have a really good live betting experience like we have in other sports like boxing, where odds hang around for much longer. So the UFC are developing this app which will enable people to live bet during fights. And another thing, if you want to live bet a football match, there's like fucking 100 different props you can live bet on a football match while it's taking place. Whereas on a UFC fight, the majority of sites only let you bet money line, like this guy wins or this guy wins. Like, a couple offer props, but again, props are even worse liquidity. Like Bet365 let you do props. Who else lets you do props? Royal Panda, although they're pulling out of a lot of countries, they sometimes let you do props. That's pretty much about it on the prop front. Unibet occasionally throw them up. But yeah, I'm excited, man. So this is the first piece of good news for us, where we might be able to reach the promised land and make millions. I'm very, very excited about this. Obviously, the second thing is online gambling is still illegal in the United States. And guys in the United States are forced to live bet on websites like BetDSI and 5Dimes, which are nowhere near as good as the sites we have in Europe and Australia and Canada. So if the United States finally gives the green light to betting sites, like massive betting sites like Bet365, William Hill, Ladbrokes, to go in the United States, start offering their products and services, that will bring a flood of liquidity into these betting sites. Because, in Europe, where the majority of people that, use sites like Bet365, William Hill, Ladbrokes, the majority of people using those sites live in Europe. Problem is, the majority of UFC events are broadcast like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning over here. So no one's staying up to like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning to live bet UFC. Like, unless you're fucking hardcore like me or like all the elite members I've got. We do it every weekend, right? But the point I'm trying to make is, if sites like Bet365, William Hill, Ladbrokes, Paddy Pav, they can get into the United States, all of a sudden you've got millions of people in the United States watching UFC on prime time at 6 p.m, 7 p.m, 8 p.m. in the evening. And then if they start, running ads for live betting, commercials during commercial breaks promoting live betting on UFC, like we have in the UK. When you watch the UFC in the UK, you have William Hill ads, Bet365 ads. You know, William Hill sponsor UFC broadcasts in the UFC, encouraging people to live bet. But obviously, not a lot of people are seeing it because it's on at 3 a.m. in the morning. If we had that in the United States, liquidity is going to skyrocket. We're going to see similar liquidity to sports like golf, basketball, boxing, which you can make a ton of money on. So at the moment, unless I get on my business hustle, start buying these houses, start building these other businesses, the fucking dream of owning this MMA gym ain't going to happen, boys. But if this UFC app turns out to be as fruitful as I hope it will, and if the situation around, you know, online gambling becoming much more accessible for people in the United States, if that situation gets fixed, boys, we could be off to the races. So future at the moment is uncertain, but the future at the moment is also very, very bright, which is great, really, right? Absolutely great. So let's catch up on some chat, see what we have got. See what we got people saying before we get into Zalal. Just catch up on some of these comments. I'm sorry, boys. I know this isn't as good a if you're watching on YouTube, I know this isn't as good a video as usual. It's lots of stop-start. It's not very structured, but I have fun just like researching these fights with you guys. It's why I added the live stream feature to my site. Like, I live stream every day on my site now, researching every UFC fight. And I've got to say, boys, we did a 3-hour 20-minute live stream on the John Jones Dominic Reyes fight the other day. I just have way more fun when I'm researching fights with you boys, chopping it up like this. It's way more fun for me, like way more interactive. Like, you boys drop mega knowledge as well, which helps me out. So I know that if you're watching on YouTube, it's probably a little bit shit, but not many people are going to care about the Lingo versus Zalal fight anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. Kamikaze saying the power looks different into that second round of the last fight we watched with Lingo as well. It's true, man. One Cash is saying, seeing this second round and having seen some footage on Youssef, is thinking this is a pass. Oh, Blades hit a big bet on Roxanne the week before. Well played, man. That was a great bet, dude. I was thinking about Roxanne. You know, I was talking about it in the chat room, in the videos, but I was like, you know what? Macy's takedown defense looks so good against Robertson. I just don't know, but shout out to you for pulling the trigger, man. That's a great bet. Yeah, Lee, that's Twitter account, man. Dr. Chen. It's fucking scary, mate. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, boys, I'll bring it. I may as well just leave it back up because people refer back to it, right? People refer back to it. So Lidosis is talking about this account that I was on about earlier. Where is it? Where's it gone? I'm telling you, man, if you scroll back far on this account, it's fucking terrifying, man. Some scary shit going on in China right now. And they ain't telling us everything. They're burning buildings down. They're just burning shit. This is the government just burning shit. Dudes just being found dead in the street. You know what I'm saying? There's fires all over the city. And the scariest thing, I have to scroll back quite far to see it, but they're like spraying some crazy chemical. Like, check this out, boys. Do you know what I mean? Like, how is fucking some dudes in hazmat suits running around spraying some big cloud of white stuff normal, man? This is getting out of hand. This is definitely getting out of hand, for sure. And there's loads of footage of them spraying stuff when you go all the way down in this guy's profile. There's tons. See? These are trucks doing it. I mean, there's trucks doing it, man. There's a picture. What's going on, boys? What's going on? There's a close-up somewhere. Yeah, this is a close. So sorry, boys. You come here for MMA shit, but this kind of shit is getting a little bit scary, getting a little bit real. Do you know what I mean? And Harry Chen is dropping some mega knowledge at the moment, man. Oh, Blades also hit Brett Johns by sub, man. Sounds like you were having a fucking great January, Blades, man. A really great January, dude. One Cash is saying that Betway and Unibet have props for live betting on UFC. Do you know what, dude? I set up a Betway account about 4 years ago when they started sponsoring West Ham. Because obviously I saw that there's a new betting site. Like, there wasn't that many betting sites around that offered live betting on UFC back then. And I think I got limited once I made like £50 profit or something like that. Like, I literally just hit one bet and they shut me down. So I've never been back. But I hear Betway is a lot better these days. Master by Jazz saying I made heavy profits without live betting. Can't wait to go hard with live. Yeah, live betting is a game changer, man. And I've been talking about this quite a lot recently with my members on my chat room, because like, I would have been a millionaire like 5 years ago if there was higher liquidity on UFC, but it just reaches a point where you can't keep compounding your money anymore because you hit a wall where bookies won't accept any higher than a certain max bet limit. And even if you do hammer the max bet limits they are offering, they just shut you down super fast. You have to kind of like play a little bit of game with them. It's like a little bit of cat and mouse, right? But the thing is, it's like, if liquidity improves, you'll be able to make so much more money. Like, everyone will be collectively. And I've been talking about this with my members a lot, like I say in the chat room. So to give you guys an example, about 18 months ago, I ran a Bet365 account up to £17,000, from like £1,000 to £17,000 betting on football. Like, that was it. It was just an experiment. Whereas if you deposited like £1,000 into a Bet365 account and only live bet MMA, you'd be shut down by the time you made like £2,000-3,000 profits, something like that. So because there's so much more liquidity in these other sports like football, you could just make shitloads more money. But because there are many people live betting UFC, you get shut down way faster. So like, we as a community can actually fix this problem ourselves, because we're all complaining about being shut down and limited. You see me, I'm making fucking videos on it all the time. I got like another 10 of these videos to edit and upload, boys. I've got one here where I show an account being shut down. I got one here with an account being shut down. I've got loads more I haven't had time to edit and upload yet. But we're all complaining about it, man. We can do something about it. If loads more people start live betting the UFC, that will improve liquidity. So that's why I'm promoting it hard on this channel now. And it's just one of these things where it's like, the more of us that jump in, the better it gets. Because it's like in poker, right? The more people in a poker tournament, the bigger the prize pool. It's the same with any type of betting. It doesn't matter that you're placing bets on a betting site like Bet365 or William Hill. Yes, ultimately you're taking money from them, or if you lose, you're giving money to them. But the amount of people betting with them helps them take on more risk and give people a little bit more, a little bit more space to earn a bit more. They can fly under the radar for a bit longer without getting shut down, because there's so many more people live betting to absorb that profit that some people are going to make. So it's just a great thing, man. I think everyone should get involved. Live betting changed my life, boys. I fucking bought this house for money I made from live betting. It is not a joke. So get involved. Get involved, man. Lidosis is saying, aren't the UFC doing an event in China in a few months? I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. Blades is saying Weili Zhang moved their camp due to this. Yeah, D. Smith is terrified. Me too, dude. Do you know what? Like, with this coronavirus thing, we always hear like viruses pop up. different viruses. That every 2-3 years another threat comes up, and I'm like, yeah, I just, it's one of those things you just forget about it, right? Oh, it's like you don't take that serious. You're like, oh, it won't affect me. This one looks fucking scary though, man. There's something going on, man. There's something going on. If you go down the Twitter rabbit hole, boys, the Twitter rabbit hole, it's looking bad. Real bad. Moons is saying they're supposed to be doing a contender series over there this year. Jesus, man. Oh yeah, they built that PI for it, didn't they? They put like a stadium type thing in it. Oh man, Massive by Jazz lost money by betting on J-Lo's butt cleavage, the Nosh show in the Super Bowl. One Cash saying Betway is the worst. It took 2 good events for me and 1 good football bet to get limited, but I have a new account and it's still going. That's the thing with Betway, man. So a few of my elites have been using Betway and they said it's really good compared to how it used to be. But when I only ever used them one time, it was terrible. So let me know, One Cash, if that happened to you a long time ago, if it happened recently. Because when I used them a long time ago, Betway were absolutely fucking terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I've never been back because of it. Because you know what it's like, by the time you get to go around creating, by the time you go to the hassle of creating a new betting account, I'm not going to go through the process of all that because it's a bit of a dodgy area I don't want to get into on a live thing. But like by the time you get a new account set up, if it gets shut down really fast, it's just fucking hassle. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just hassle. Hanmac is saying 2 deaths outside the mainland China. Get worried when it's over 10,000. See, bro? That is how I was feeling, Hanmac. That is how I was feeling. But when you start seeing dudes walking around in hazmat suits, spraying shit, and then burning buildings down, that's when it gets a little bit scarier for me, man. And Lidos is saying Betway are good nowadays. So that's it, boys. Everyone watching, let's go live bet on Betway and boost their liquidity, man. Make them even better. Make them even better. That's my goal, man. If we can create like a huge YouTube channel, right? And we just promote this live betting thing hard. Say I get like 50,000 subscribers and I can convince like 5,000 of them to live bet UFC every weekend. That would give a huge boost in liquidity. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't take like loads of people. Just makes like a good amount. I can't imagine there are many maniacs staying up until like 2-3 a.m. in the morning to live bet UFC. I bet there aren't that many people out there. I bet it's only the super hardcores. And that's why they do shut us down so fast when we make money. And Lidos is saying that's why most pro gamblers make their money from pre-fight betting, as you can use betting exchanges and betting shops. It's true, dude, but you know yourself, Lee. The problem with that is the variance on pre-fight betting, no matter how good you are, it's absolutely savage. Like, it's so up and down because you never know what version of a fighter you're going to get. The beauty of live betting is you can maintain such a high win rate. I mean, even when you see people that are absolutely crushing it on pre-fight, pre-game betting, their win rate is only like around 60%, which is slightly better than winning, every other bet. And that makes it really difficult to compound profits and build a large lump sum of money. But with live betting, because you can have a much higher win rate, like going up into the 70s, into the 80%. Like I think Zips was saying, our win rate on live betting is well above 70%. Because you are hitting such a higher frequency of bets, it just enables you to compound your money and earn way more. Like it's so hard to compound money on pre-game and pre-fight betting because the swings are so vicious that when you go down and then up and then down and then up, even if you're going up a little bit more than you're going down, unless you're completely crushing it and hitting like a huge ungodly win rate, which I've never seen anyone do, it takes such a long time to grow money because the downs really hit compound interest hard. It's like what basically Ray Dalio wrote a book on it, right? It's so hard. It is so hard, man. Psyfix saying, when you're live betting, are you going for props or just winners? Good question. Personally, so in the past, I used to do a lot of props. I used to do mainly winners, like probably, like, I would say 80% winners, 20% props. But this year, I've kind of stopped doing props. because I noticed that for whatever reason, I don't know what this is, but I noticed that when you bet the props, it seems to trigger account closures. So, for example, I've had quite a lot of accounts get shut down in the last 18 months, which seemed to get shut down immediately after winning a prop bet. Now, I don't know if that was just a coincidence, but I doubt it. So I'm always looking for ways to like prolong the lifespan of accounts. And the way I personally look at it is like, I know long term I'm going to absolutely fucking crush when it comes to pre-fight betting UFC and live betting UFC. I just know that, man. I just fucking know it. So for me, it's kind of like I let the bets take care of themselves because I know the bets are always coming. Like the last 2 months have been dead for live betting, like barely any opportunities. But like now we've got 2 solid months, back to back events every weekend. Bellator and UFC, we've got like 12, 13 events coming up over the next 2-3 months. Then in the summer, June, July, August, International Fight Week, tons of events. So I know these events are coming, man. I know these bets are coming. So from my perspective, if I was to bet props, like I know, this is live props by the way. If I were to bet live props, I know I can theoretically make more money and I could theoretically win more bets. But in the long run, it causes me more problems if it leads to faster account closures. So I prefer to keep it tighter and just go bigger and more aggressively on the straight money line bets, because I know if I just stick to the straight money line bets, there's like less of a chance my account will get closed, if that makes sense. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I can bet money line, right, and earn like 3 grand out of a betting account, but it takes me longer than betting props and money line and getting shot down after like a grand profit, I'd rather take the longer route because it's less hassle for me. That's just like the way I look at it, man. That is the way I look at it. With a max bet limit, so Lee Dose just saying max bet limits are way lower on live betting nowadays. For me, it swings and roundabouts though, because I've been doing it a long time, man. I've been doing it like 10 years now. And what I would say is, on one hand, max bet limits are lower on most sites than they were, say, 5 years ago. But on the other hand, going back 5 years ago, there was literally like 3 sites that offered live betting on UFC. You had Paddy Power, you had William Hill, and you had Bet365. Can't remember back then if Unibet were doing it. I don't think they were. But they had literally 3 sites all you could live bet on. Paddy Power, William Hill, and Bet365. And the limits on Paddy Power were pretty shit back then. I think they were only like £300 a bet. So it's kind of like, on one hand, you might say the max bet limits aren't as good now, which is kind of true. But on the other hand, now you have like 30 different sites you can bet on. So you just got way more options. So it's like on one hand this sucks that the max bet limits are being reduced, but on the other hand, you've got way more places that you can make cash. So I'm kind of like, for me, the future's brighter than ever, even though you can't hit like you can't even, like in the past you might be able to hit like a 4 grand live bet on Bet365. Can't do that anymore. It might be like a 1,500 £2,000 bet, or on a big underdog. If you know, if he's a big underdog, it might be like a £400-500 bet, right? Because they're managing their liability. So the limits have changed a little bit, but like now you can do it on more sites. And I'm not saying you can bet like fucking 1.5-2 grand on a site like BetStars. I'm not saying that, but you can still get like 100, 200, 300 down across 30 sites, which is way better than it was before. You know what I mean? What else have we got? This turned into like more of a Q&A than a research video. I like this though. I love talking about this sort of stuff, man. Tasmanian's trying to get us back on track. Sorry, Taz. Sorry, Taz is saying, hey guys, So is Zalal any good? We'll wrap it up now, Taz, and we'll get back on the fight research. Sorry, bro. Blades is saying I like small prop bets on each fight, keeps me interested. Yeah, man. Zips is saying he's going deep down the rabbit hole on that guy's Twitter I shared. Yeah, it's scary, man. Lidos is saying if you hit those max bet limits, you're going to raise more flags. It's better to say slightly under the max bet limit to raise less flags. Yeah, that's great advice from. So Lidos is dropping mega knowledge there, and it's exactly what I do. I never hit those max bet limits. I kind of just work out what they are and then kind of like float underneath them. So yeah, that's some good advice, man. Let's get back on the motherfucking fight research, alright, boys? Because if you're not into live betting, you're probably bored to tears right now. Let's get into it. So this is going to be Youssef Zalal's last fight against Jaime Hernandez. Ends by flying knee in 2.5 minutes. Let's get into it. One Cash is saying it's propaganda. I don't know, man. He looks like he's exposing people, you know. So straight away I'm noticing a few problems with Zalal that could get him into a lot of trouble. Do you notice how when Hernandez was coming forward aggressively there, you kind of see like Zalal duck his head off at weird angles? That could get him into a lot of trouble against a really good boxer like Lingo. Especially with how hard Lingo lifts, because if Zalal commits too heavy to one side, Lingo's going to be able to catch him with a nuclear missile and put him away. And loosey-goosey striking as well. As he comes forward there, unless that two-strike combo go, his chin is kind of just dangling out there, which, again, could get him into a lot of trouble against a guy like Lingo, right? Dr. Remelak saying Lee Dosis is the smartest man I know. Yeah, one thing you guys gotta know about Lee Dosis, right, boys, is Lee is very, very young, man. I think Lee's in his early 20s, and what you gotta remember is such a tiny percentage of people make money gambling. Like, you see it in the YouTube comments, man. According to like YouTube, there's like thousands of people making money from gambling out there. It's not true. It's fucking hard. Like, if you actually even break even on gambling, or even make a small loss gambling, that's like a huge thing, man. That is like a huge achievement, even just to float around break even, because it's so hard. So Lee, in his early 20s, recently just booked a holiday to Norway, completely paid for through money he earned from gambling, man. So in his early 20s, he has already achieved something massive that people don't get to achieve in a lifetime. Do you know what I mean? Not many people earn money gambling. I don't care what people say in the comments and that. It's fucking hard, boys. It is brutal. It's very, very difficult, man. Because it's not even particularly hard to pick the winners, right? It's just hard to deal with it psychologically, to deal with the losses. And yeah, Lee Dosis in his early 20s has already completed it, mate. He has already achieved something that most people spend a lifetime trying to achieve and never do. So it's a huge thing, man. He is very smart. He is being very humble. He is being very humble by saying that he doesn't think he is smart after Dr. Remelak paid him that compliment, but he actually is, because he's achieved something that is incredible, which is very, very, very good. And a very nice flying knee there from Zalal. And Tasmanian saying Zalal just Sagat Tiger kneed his opponent. Yes, man, that is it. It's tough to see from that camera angle how it landed, though, right? And yeah, Cyfix also just reminding us all that Lee Dosis is a bot. No human could be that smart, right? Obviously, he's got to be a bot. Blade said, I only make profit on MMA, had to quit betting every other sport. Yeah, man, back in the day, what I used to do when I first started out, I started betting on MMA like 11 years ago. And I know specifically it was 11 years because I started shortly after my son was born, and it was his 11th birthday last month. And what I used to do, basically, when I used to bet MMA, I would bet £5 on every fight. And I'd either make a small profit, a small loss, or break even. But it would never really be a disaster, right? Some weeks it would be a disaster, some weeks you'd win big, but generally speaking, you'd float around break even. And then the next day, I used to just lose on football. I followed exactly the same pattern, man. Exactly the same fucking pattern. But do you know what I will say? From the stuff I've learned live betting MMA over the years, I make money on every single sport that I live bet without fail. No matter how little I know about the sport, I can be profitable on it. Because it's all about reading momentum swings, man. That's literally what it comes down to. So the crazy thing is now, I think I could be profitable live betting any sport. The only problem is fight research on MMA takes so fucking long. I just don't have time to actually live bet enough on other sports. The only sport I get consistently destroyed on, like the only sport I've never been able to make money on, is ice hockey. Which is crazy, really, because I do actually spend a bit of time watching it. I go and watch Cardiff Devils, our local team. But I literally just can't make money on ice hockey. It's fucking chaos. I don't understand ice hockey. I think the problem with ice hockey is it's so difficult to gauge momentum swings because it's back and forth, up and down. Like in ice hockey, you rarely see teams that are just like penned in and fighting for their lives. It's one of these things, like it's very like up and down, fast paced, and it's almost like in ice hockey, teams can score at any time from almost like out of nowhere, no matter how bad they are, no matter how good the other team is. It feels like, you know how we talk about like flash KOs in MMA where you're like, fuck, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe he lost, man. He was doing great, he got flash KO'd. In ice hockey, when I watch ice hockey, it's like you get flash goals, man. Like, teams will be doing great, and then out of nowhere, they'll just get flash gold. Like, I can't remember, I was watching the Stanley Cup last year. It was the Boston Bruins against the St. Louis, is it the St. Louis Blues? And I was live betting those games, and it's just fucking chaos. There was one game, I can't remember what the score was, and I can't remember which team were doing well, but one team basically battered the opposition. They dominated, like they absolutely annihilated the opposition, and they lost like 7-2. It was outrageous. It was fucking outrageous. They destroyed the team they were playing. They're like dominating, and they lost 7-2. And I was like, fuck this shit. I'm never live betting this again. It's chaos. It's so hard. It is so hard. Tasmanian saying, is it true in ice hockey they are allowed to fight and the loser has to leave the field? That's not strictly true, dude. What happens is, in ice hockey, sometimes fights break out, which is illegal under the rules, but not punished as strict. Not punished as strict as other fights. Not punished as strictly as other fouls. So fighting in ice hockey is a foul, but obviously if you fight in like other sports like football or like fucking rugby, like you're screwed. You might even get suspended for months, right? You are completely screwed. Whereas in ice hockey, it's like a bit of a misdemeanor. So if you fight, usually both fighters get sin-binned for like maybe 5 minutes, maybe a bit longer, depending on the circumstances. But it's not true that the loser has to leave the field. No, usually the loser and the winner does, because it's a foul. Like, they shouldn't be fighting. But it kind of is allowed. MC Kanye is saying, would you say you can successfully live bet MMA with minimal fight research? No. I definitely disagree with that. I think that deep research is absolutely essential to making money live betting MMA, 100%. I know this because there have been times back last year where, or not last year, it might have been last year or the year before, but over the last couple of years, BT Sport did a deal with Cage Warriors. So Cage Warriors is back on... Cage Warriors is back on Fight Pass now, but when Cage Warriors was on BT Sport, Bet365 let you live bet Cage Warriors, and I didn't have time to research the Cage Warriors events on top of like Bellator and UFC, And when I tried to live bet these Cage Warriors fights, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I literally, like, I was like blind. I was literally like fucking blind. Like, being successful at live betting on MMA, it all stems from pre-fight research. It's imperative. And I think people will really struggle without that. Like, what I notice a lot of the time, like, one of the reasons why the price of my elite memberships is so expensive for the live betting tips is because it's giving people an education, right? It's like that thing where it's like, if you give a man a fish, he can feed himself for a day, right? But give a man a fishing rod, teach him how to fish, he can feed himself for a lifetime. So it's this thing with, like, I put the prices up of my live betting tips quite a lot because it's also like an education thing where I'm teaching you pretty much everything I know. So I need to get paid for that, man. It's take me fucking years of heartache to learn what I know. I need to get paid. Do you know what I'm saying? I can't give you all my knowledge for like peanuts. Like, you gotta pay to get that, right? That is fucking, like, that's the way life is. You know, you go see a fucking doctor to get private surgery, you go get laser eye surgery, you go see an accountant, you go to see fucking, get a carpenter to build a table for you. Do you know what I'm saying? You're not just paying for that time in that moment, you're paying for all their fucking decades of hard work and experience, right? It's fucking important. But the point I'm trying to make is, what I often see is people will become one of my elite members. They'll tell these live betting tips that I give out every week, and they'll kind of learn from me, and they'll think they'll know what they're doing, and then I think as soon as they go it alone, they struggle bad, because then they don't understand how much the decision making process of live betting stems from the pre-fight research that you do. That is such a big one, and I know this because if, like, I without fail research every single UFC fight and majority of Bellator fights, but if ever there's a situation where I don't have time to get to a Bellator fight, which is, it's like that some weeks when you have 2 Bellators in 1 week, or like I say, when I was live betting Cage Warriors, I literally don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm like, you can't pull the trigger because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas the pre-fight research really helps you to see what is going to happen in the future. Is so important, man. So yeah, I would say it would be difficult to be successful live betting MMA with minimal pre-fight research. I think you need to put a lot of time in. And it's like anything, right? It's like anything, man. Like anything in life. Anything in life worth having. Or anything in life... anything in life worth having, it takes a lot of hard work, right? There's no get-rich-quick schemes. There's no easy wins. There's no easy money. It doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean? Everything that you do is going to take hard work. Like, you can't just turn up and do great at something. Do you know what I mean? It's very difficult. You know, there are very few ways to make easy money in this life. So it all stems from hard work, man. And I think live betting on MMA is no different, which is unfortunate. Lee Dose is saying MMA is one of the softest markets in the world because of how much the lines move, and compared to other higher liquidity sports where the lines rarely move, this makes it much easier to extract value from the market. That's what I've noticed anyway. And to think we are only in the early stages of this market, the future is bright for all of us here. Yeah, that's a great point, Lee Dose, for sure. And another reason why I think that MMA is a real great sport to bet on is because, like, in like football, there's like one way to score in football, right? You score a goal. In basketball, you have to, like, I know I'm oversimplifying things, but in basketball, like, you score through the hoop, right? Ice hockey, you score in the goal. There's like one way to score. In MMA, there's so many factors to consider. Like, you can win a fight with wrestling. You can win a fight with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, submissions. You can win fights in the clinch. You can win fights with striking. You can win fights by knockout, with punches, with head kicks, with knees. There's so many different variables. I genuinely don't think bookies will ever be able to sew up the MMA odds and make them super efficient, because it's such a unique sport. Like, if you think of boxing, it's a very linear sport. It's two dudes punching themselves in the face. Punching themselves? They don't punch themselves. It's 2 dudes punching each other in the face, right? Any sport. You look at rugby, very one-dimensional sport. NFL, You have to score touchdowns or field goals. MMA is so complex. I think it is impossible to completely nail the odds on MMA because there are so many different variables and so many ways that a fight could play out. And let's be real, fighters show so many different sides of themselves. Like, realistically, I'll use Lucy Pudilova as a great example. Like, I feel really bad for anyone that bet Lucy Pudilova a few weeks back. Like, I passed on her. But I think that she just fucking let people down really bad. She didn't show up. So, for example, if you look at like Man City, right? I know that teams are inconsistent from time to time. But if Man City play on like Manchester City or like the New England Patriots, right? If they play 1 week, you know, they might have a few bad performances per season, but they're not going to look that different from 1 week to the next. Whereas in MMA, fighters look like completely different human beings from one fight to the next. Like the Lucy Pudilova that fought Irene Aldana is not the same Lucy Pudilova that fought Justine Kish. It's like Pudilova's nervous, passive, tentative twin sister fought instead. And I think that's what will make it really difficult to accurately set MMA lines as well. It's like MMA is like a box of chocolates, right, boys? You never know what you're gonna get. You never know what you're gonna get. All right. I think we're gonna bore people, boys. We've been going on for about 1.5 hours, and we haven't even started watching footage on Zalal yet. So let's get back into it. Let's get back in, boys. What have we got to say? All right, let's get in. Where are we? Oh, my thing's gone a bit funny. Shit, that's why it's gone a bit funny. Sorry, boys. I've actually, without realizing, I'm actually got the mixer window open as well on this screen, which means that it's fucking my bandwidth up. So this other monitor just got a bit funky. I use like a chat program so that I can see comments from Mixer and Twitch, and it's just gone all a bit weird. It's again a bit laggy. I've just realised it's probably because I'm trying to stream and play Mixer at the same time, which I didn't realise. Let's get back into fight footage though, boys. Enough rambling. Let's get into it. So this is going to be, what have we got here? This is going to be from LFA 65. This is going to be Matt Jones against Youssef. Now I won't be able to. It's gone funny again, boys. Sorry, I'm having some technical problems over here with the chat. So the chat's again a little bit mental for me, but I'm sure it'll sort itself out. I'll just focus on this. This is from LFA 65. What I would say is I won't stop and start this footage because this Youku site is really glitchy, it's really buggy. So if you like stop, if you pause, if you rewind, you can kind of lose your place in it and it all gets messed up. So we won't be doing any of that. But obviously, this fight is this stream has turned into a bit more of a Q&A because I think everyone knows this is becoming a pretty difficult fight to bet on because there's not much footage of Austin Lingo. So rather than just turn up and say, oh, hey, everyone, here's the fucking fight, pass, and I'll see you all later. It was good to have a little chat with you guys. Good to talk about the state of the betting market at the moment on MMA. And the future is bright, man. I'm telling you, boys. If you are in America, please do us a favor and vote Trump, please, because the longer a president is in power for, the more time they have to focus on less important shit. And we know Donald Trump is a filthy capitalist, right? And the United States government, the United States economy can get a massive boost from taxes earned from gambling revenue in the United States, right? Companies like Bet365, Ladbrokes, William Hill, some of the most profitable businesses in the United Kingdom because they get taxed to death. And Donald Trump is a smart man. He knows that making online gambling legal, properly legal, unconditionally legal in the United States would bring a huge boost to the United States economy. He knows it makes sense. And the longer he's in office for, the more time we have got for him to actually get online gambling legalized unconditionally in the United States. So please, boys, I know Trump is not perfect. I know he is a parody. I know that he is a very flawed character. But honestly, boys, honestly, man, if you can vote Trump and if he can make online gambling legal in the United States, I am telling you, there is a lot of money to be made live betting on the UFC. So if you want to see that happen, get on it. And I'm one of these guys that I just don't believe, irrespective of what you think of Trump, I just don't think that government should be allowed to dictate what people spend their money on. And I can't believe that in 2020 online gambling is still illegal in some countries. It's ridiculous to me. I just don't understand, man. And I think if there is a different presidential candidate coming into office, it's just gonna push back the process of legalizing online gambling. It's gonna take even longer to get to the promised land, man. And boys, I've been waiting for a long time, man. I don't want to be working fucking 60 hours a week, fucking researching fights, and getting nasty emails off people and nasty DMs and nasty YouTube comments telling me how much of a fucking clown I am and how clueless I am and how people want to see me die. I don't need all that, boys. I want to buy a big MMA gym, have a ton of money in the bank, and then just sit in my pants all day, like trying to fucking help fighters bankroll their careers and just having a cool time. That's what I want to do. I want to set up a dog grooming business. There can't be any stress in Shih Tzus. Do you know what I'm saying? But we're only going to get there, boys. We're only going to get to the promised land if liquidity on MMA betting gets a huge boost. That is what we need. And I think Trump will help us get there faster. Because honestly, I will say this as well. I know a lot of people watching this are in the United States. And honestly, I feel bad for you because I've used 5 Dimes in the past. I can't use them anymore because 5 Dimes stopped accepting players from the United Kingdom like 2 years ago. But I still use BetDSI, and you guys have no idea what you're missing out on. Like 5 Dimes and BetDSI are terrible compared to what we have in Europe. Like the worst betting site in Europe is 1,000,000 times better than 5 Dimes. Hands down, so much better. Like Betway kicks the shit out of 5 Dimes in terms of like the platform and the user interface. So you guys are missing out, man. And government shouldn't be able to control what people spend their money on. But I have been, while I've been talking, rather than boring you guys with a commentary, I've been keeping an eye on what's going on in this fight. And Youssef's offensive wrestling doesn't look very good at all. So obviously these boys, they've been mixing it up in the clinch in the first round, but I haven't seen Youssef able to get in deep on his opponent's hips once. Doesn't really look that strong in the clinch. And remember, Lingo has demonstrated like really, really strong hips in the past fights we watched from him. You know, Lingo's takedown defense isn't terrible. I haven't seen anything too scary there for Lingo, you know. Haven't seen anything too scary. Strange, man. Remember, the only time we saw Lingo get taken down, I'm scared to like skip ahead because I think that the video might crash. It usually does on this Yuku site. But the thing with I forgot what I was going to say. There's me rambling on. Completely forgot what I was going to say. It's gone, boys. That's my dementia kicking in again. Dementia is gone. Oh, I was going to say, if you remember, Lingo, we've only seen Lingo taken down off a really deep body lock. A really deep body lock. And in one of his very, very early fights in his career when the guy shot a really nice double leg takedown. And so far, we haven't really seen Youssef bring anything to the table which could really cause Lingo a problem. Doesn't look too scary to me. So I am going to start Hawkeyeing this guy. Going to start paying close attention to what we've got going on here. Because Lingo might actually be a good bet, you know. I'm not seeing I'm not seeing how Youssef's going to get his fight to the ground unless he starts to show some decent wrestling. Obviously, it's a bit of a concern though how Lingo was tired in that second round, but it was his pro debut. It was 2.5 years ago, and we don't know how Youssef's cardio is going to hold up, right? Oh, Tomlin, man. Tomlin 420. Tomlin 420 is saying he hasn't got one single prediction wrong on the first 2 UFC cards of the year. That is phenomenal, man. You absolute beast. Well done, dude. Well done, man. That is amazing. Well done, mate. The live chat is finally kicking back into gear now, boys. It's finally starting to work again. It lagged out when I actually realised that I was doing double video views, but it seems to be alright now. Thing is though, man, Tomlin's being harsh on himself. Tomlin is saying that it's obviously just luck. But what you gotta remember, dude, is like if you just go up to some dude in the street and ask him to pick every single fight correctly on a card, he ain't gonna get all fights correct, dude. So don't be harsh on yourself, Tomlin, man. To get all 12 fights correct is fucking amazing, dude. Like, obviously, is not all luck. You've probably put major time and major research, major investment into that, dude. So, Tomlin, man, don't be too harsh on yourself, dude. It's not easy. It is not easy to pick a fight correct on every single fight, man. That's amazing. Very few people can do that, dude. You know what I'm saying? That is impressive. And we're not really seeing a whole lot of wrestling here from Youssef, right? Not seeing very much at all. He actually gets taken down here, although I can't see that being a factor against Austin Lingo. Seems like Lingo's just going to want to keep this fight standing, focus on his boxing. His Rue is saying in Australia they have some good betting sites because horse racing's massive. Online casinos are illegal, which is kind of shit. Do you know what's crazy though, man? This is another thing with how governments just do crazy shit. I can't believe that in Australia you have to phone the betting site to place a live bet. Like, that makes absolutely no sense, man. It just don't make any sense to me. Like, it's so stupid. I can't believe in Australia they make you phone in live bets. It's crazy. So Zalal is in on a body lock here. He's got his hands connected together around Sanchez's body. He's also got one arm trapped on the right side, but that's also serving purpose as an underhook on this loose body lock. Zalal doesn't appear to really have any offensive wrestling to get the fight to the ground. So this is looking like a pretty bad fight for Zalal, you know. So far, I mean, we've watched him for almost 10 minutes now, and he hasn't really got in on a deep takedown yet. And his striking defense does look pretty sketchy. And I have noticed that the odds on Lingo have started to improve quite a bit, right? Not that much. Wow, he opened at 120, Jesus. He opened at 120, man. But yeah, Zalal doesn't really... I mean, he's pulled guard there on a guillotine attempt. But he doesn't appear to really have any wrestling. Definitely wouldn't be betting Zalal based on what we've seen. So Tomlin's just asking when this fight was. So this one would have been in May. So unlikely he would have improved too much since then. Yeah, this one would have been May. So yeah, boys, at the moment, This looks like a tough fight for Zalal, right? What are the odds on Lingo? 1.52. So, the odds on Lingo, 1.52 minus 192 for an implied probability of 66%. So you've got to give Lingo around a 70% chance of winning if you want to bet him. Do you know what, boys? I would pay a lot of money. I would pay a lot of money for this fight. If we could watch this fight, I would pay a lot of money for it. Obviously a bit more wrestling here. Just Hawkeye and these guys paying close attention to what's happening. So we did finally see some offensive wrestling there from Zalal. He got in on some single legs, some double legs. Didn't do a particularly good job of getting the fight to the ground, but without knowing a great deal about Lingo's takedown defense, it's difficult to know if Zalal would be able to get him to the ground if he did go to those techniques early in the fight, right? Yes, Tomlin, I'm Welsh, man. That's right, dude. Tiny Dan's is saying Zalal doesn't look particularly impressive anywhere outside that one flying knee KO. I agree, mate. Kamikaze saying the guy he's facing is mainly a wrestler. Is that why he's had trouble? Yeah, that's the tricky thing, isn't it, dude? That is the tricky thing, because even though we didn't see a great deal of wrestling from Zalal in the first 2 rounds, you know, in this second and third, we've seen him. Sorry, in the third, we've seen him go to the single leg, the body, single leg, the double leg, and because he has a 5-inch reach advantage over Lingo, it's going to make it easier for him to connect his hands around Lingo's body on the body lock, because obviously Lingo's a little bit smaller than him. We haven't seen a lot of body lock takedowns from Zalal, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have him in his locker, right? Kamikaze saying that he's seeing Zalal's grappling being much better. Oh, nice one, Tomlin, man. What part of England are you from, mate? I live in Newport now, bro. I was from Cardiff originally. This is going to be a tough one, boys, I think. This is going to be a very tough one. Obviously, not much footage on Lingo, is there? Could have told you that like an hour ago, but you probably already know. So here he's fishing for the body lock, shoots a nice deep double leg. Yeah, boys, we can't bet this fight, boys. We can't bet this fight, you know. You already know that. We kind of figured that out early on, right? That's why this turned into a bit more of a Q&A discussion instead of a serious research live stream. Can't bet this one. I mean, we'll sum it up. There's barely any footage available on Lingo. He looks brilliant standing. He looks really, really good. And also looks like he might be difficult to take down. I mean, he trains at Fortis MMA. Most of the guys coming out of Fortis MMA are strikers that are really difficult to take down. He did show flashes of good takedown defense with having strong hips in some of his past fights. I like how he works off his back to try and get back to his feet, but obviously it's a bit inconclusive how effective he's going to be at doing that. Zalal, I think, is in big trouble if this fight stays standing. He seems quite easy to hit. He seems quite slow. But he does have a decent amount of submission wins on his record. We've also just seen him demonstrate a little bit of wrestling there in that third round of the fight against Matt Jones. Shot a nice deep double leg off the clinch against Mariscal. And who knows how this fight's going to look if it goes to the ground, because we don't really know anything about Lingo's ground game. And with Zalal having the 5-inch reach advantage, it's going to make it easier for him to connect his hands around Lingo's body, get that body lock and control him. So it's a tricky one, man. It is a big tricky one, right? Tricky. So it's an easy pass for me, boys. Definitely lean towards Lingo, because Zalal doesn't seem like the strongest wrestler to me. And I have a feeling that Lingo will be quite difficult to hold down based on how strong his hips looked against, I believe it was, who was it? Was it against Benjar? And the fact he trains at Fortis MMA with a bunch of guys that are difficult to take down and hold down. And obviously, Zalal, once he gets the takedown, he's going to have to keep him down, right? So yeah, that's going to be an easy pass for me, boys. But yeah, I'm going to go and take a very, very quick break now. And then I'm going to jump on the website. And if you're a member of the site, which I know almost everyone is watching on Twitch and Mixer. So if you're a member, boys, come over here and we will get through the rest of these UFC fights. I'm going to pull an all-nighter, man. It's 4 a.m, but I'm going to go all night, and I'm going to get into this Derek Lewis-Ilir Latifi fight and Andrea Lee Laura Murphy fight. But like I say, boys, these fights don't look very good for betting. I doubt we'll be betting them. I just need to research them to see what's up with these matchups. So you're probably better off going and playing Call of Duty or something instead, or smashing some Fortnite. Or even going to bed if you're in Europe, because it's late as fuck. So yeah, I don't think these live streams are going to be that good. I don't think we're going to find any bets. But if you are up for watching these fights with me, boys, head on over to the site. So I will see you all very, very soon, everybody. Take care. I'll be back live streaming on Mixer and Twitch tomorrow. We will research the fight between Domingo Pilate and Journey Newsom tomorrow, which I might bet, because from the footage I've watched so far on both guys, Newsom is quite impressive. The scary thing about it is that Newsom is very, very small. He's 5'5" with a 67.5-inch reach. Pilate is 6 foot tall with a 74-inch reach. So that's a concern. Obviously, we saw how much size matters in the fight with Michael Chiesa RDA a few weeks ago. So don't like to ever really bet on the smaller guy. If I can help his size matters in MMA, sometimes I do it, not very often. But the one thing to consider is this fight's a bantamweight. And Pilate is absolutely enormous for a bantamweight, which will probably take away from his athleticism, his speed, his cardio. Whereas Newsom, very athletic, very fast, cardio for days. So it's a fight I am interested in betting, but I want to take a deeper dive into that with you guys tomorrow on Twitch, YouTube, Mixer. We'll get into that tomorrow. Actually, I can live stream on YouTube, but the video will go up after. So nice one, boys. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the like button. Sorry it wasn't the best research video. Turned into a bit of a Q&A, but it is what it is. Take care, everyone. Love you, boys, and I will see you all very soon.